happy Tuesday. If you can see me and or hear me, then you already know that it is Tuesday and it is time for the mic drop. I am Nishika Melton, your hostess, creator of the Mic Drop podcast, and I am also a productivity strategist. So I am that person when you are feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling lost, you don't know what direction to go in, steps to take. You have an idea of what you want to do, but you don't know how to get to the finish line. I am the person that you connect with because I take you from vision to implementation. I get you across the finish line without all the unnecessary stress, overwhelm, and burnout. And that's one of the reasons that I created this podcast was to give you an opportunity to glean from other people, their experiences, their wisdom, and what they can potentially sow into you. So, y'all know every week, every Tuesday, I say the same thing. What do I say? I say that I am excited about my guest on tonight. If you have seen my posts on social media, which if you're not following me, you need to be, Nishika F. Melton across all social media platforms. One of the posts that I put out, it said, "Is your life worth saving?" Because tonight we are going to talk with a gentleman who determined that his life was, and not only his life, but other people's lives, people that he knew and people that he has yet to meet. He has made it his mission, his goal, his purpose, his calling to help individuals understand what it means to live a healthy lifestyle. Because there are so many sicknesses and illnesses and all different things that are preventable, that are avoidable. You don't have to have them. So, you're coming in. I'm about to bring him to the stage, but I always have to remind folks because we have new watchers every single week, new viewers. As you come in, make sure you let me know where you are watching from. So put in your city and state into the chat. Our chat is live. Put your questions in the chat, your comments in the chat. If you are watching from another country, put your country in the chat as well, because I want to know where you are listening from. And you see me looking to the left and right. Y'all know I'm finna get my sounds together because it just takes me a little minute. Because it's a different screen. But now that I found my sounds, I'm about to bring to the stage Mr. Mike James. Hello.
Yes. Hello, Nishika. It's great to be here. I love your podcast. I've seen some episodes, and I'm honored to be here. Honored and blessed to be here.
Thank
Yes,
you. Well, we're
absolutely.
excited to have you because what you're going to share tonight, everybody needs to know, everybody needs to be aware. So I'm excited about the information and want to shout out Greensboro for hollering back at us in the chat. Put your city and state in the chat so we know where you're watching from. Mike, go ahead and tell the people where you're from, what you do, who you are.
Okay, yes. I will certainly do that. So I am, and I always reference home, even though I've been in Greensboro for, oh my goodness, it's a long time. I can't even, it's kind of crazy how long I've been here and say, were you born here? No, I was not born here. Came to school here at North Carolina A&T, but I'm originally from Jacksonville, North Carolina. So if there's any home people out there on the stream, hey, shout out Jacksonville. That's home. And Came up here to A&T in 1979. I've been here ever since. So I've been here for a minute. And it's kind of interesting how I ended up into the whole health and wellness space. But I served in ministry at Mount Zion for several years. As a matter of fact, was part of the healing ministry there, and that was a calling, kind of based on, I think, from a foundation of how I grew up and some of the things that ended up happening, in my household. We talked about that a little bit, but some of my family members that dealt with different chronic and metabolic diseases, what they call metabolic syndromes, whether it's high blood pressure, diabetes, strokes, heart attacks, cancer, a number of different things. So my whole inner circle ended up passing from some of those, well, all of those, one of all of those different things, right? And so it really had me look at things a lot differently as I was coming up. So in my early years, early 20s, I started focusing on things that I didn't want to eat because of some of the things that had happened in my family. So, and that was a time when I cut out some things that I stopped eating, and that worked for me, for years. And then when I gave my life to Christ, I was about 33 years old, and the Lord led me on a mission to fast and then study. And I didn't understand why at the time, all of the healing scriptures in the Bible. And so my mother was still in Jacksonville at that time. And so I went home and 3 days fasted and just read healing scriptures and prayed. And then, after that period of time, subsequently, I ended up serving in ministry and a part of the healing team at Mount Zion for years, and saw the Lord do some great things as far as people coming in, being prayed for, because I believe the prayer of faith will save the sick, and God certainly will raise them up. And by his stripes, we are healed. And that's word, right? So, seeing that happen as well. But then the Lord started ministering to me about, okay, yes, some people are healed and some people are not healed, right? And sometimes you can say it's a matter of faith or whatever, but then it was deeper than that. Like, okay, it's like when he told the woman, when he healed I think it was the leper, maybe it was the leper. And then when the leper left, he said, go show yourself to the priest and sin no more.
Right.
So let's, okay, what does he mean by that, right? But then I started thinking about the whole food side of things and what we eat and kind of how food is prepared now and how it's made. And I was like, you know what? And God started dealing with me on that part of it. And so it really led me to study, nutrition and health and, okay, what is God's plan? How does he want us to eat? And looked into some things that I saw in the word, and I was like, wow, this thing is right here in plain sight, right? People have been searching for the fountain of youth and all that Ponce de Leon coming to America. You know what I mean? Eddie Murphy hat on. No, but looking for a fountain of youth. And it's right in the word, thousands of years ago, right in the word, the fountain of youth and what it was. And so, I started studying that, and then I put together a curriculum, and that's been over 30 years ago. I put together a curriculum called Bodies in Christ, and that's still the ministry company that we operate under now. And that was formed, and I did classes, in-person classes, had different people come through and really change their lives as it related to, just how they would eat. And then also I had, penned the column in the Full Gospel Times back then. So I was a health minister and wrote, just how to take care of your natural health. And so I did that for years. And then life came, and one of my students that had come through the class, I was single at the time, and ended up marrying one of my students that came through the class. I say the information works so well, you know what I mean? That
I know you hooked somebody. No, I'm just kidding.
So we're about to celebrate 27 years in May. and and so I did that, and then life came about. We had a couple kids, and ministry and serving and everything. So I stopped doing the classes back then, and then when the pandemic came, and I know this is I'm giving you a lot of information, like all at once. So
Okay.
I was getting somewhere. Then the pandemic came along in 2020, and the Lord put it in my spirit to, okay, do these classes, do these classes. I didn't do it right then.
Mhm.
I ended up actually during the whole COVID period, we're inside and everything. So I picked up an extra about 20 pounds, right? And then I was at the heaviest that I'd ever been during that
Wow.
time. I still eating, still okay. And this is the difference too. I was still eating pretty much according to the plan. It was a lot of things that I still didn't eat, but there was a change that came about after the pandemic. And so then during that time, I ended up getting a little touch of the stuff, and it had me down for a little bit. And then I lost 20 pounds during that time. But then but then after that period, I gained 30.
Good gracious,
so,
Mike. You
so
and them scales, bro.
so I was already before the pandemic, I was already at my heaviest. Then I lost a lot of weight quickly. And then I gained 10 more pounds back after that, right? So I'm really at the heaviest I'd ever been. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and the Lord had been ministering to me already about doing the classes, getting back to it, sharing the information with people. I mean, there was a health crisis going on, and a lot of people that was most effective was people who had these, metabolic conditions.
Okay.
And so, but I didn't right then. So about a year or so later, about 2 years later, I started working back on the curriculum again. Okay, I'm gonna do the curriculum, and then the Lord brought to the forefront of something I had taught on and studied and everything, but Genesis 1:29,
Okay.
and that's God in the scripture, he talks about how he had every herb bearing seed and every fruit bearing tree, and for this will be your meat.
Mm.
And he was talking to man, he was talking to Adam. And this is Genesis 1:29. So this is in the beginning, right? And this is God's original plan for what man was to eat. So the Lord ministered that to me, like, okay, get back to Genesis 1:29. So I did some things, and um, started eating differently, more according to Genesis 1:29. That was 4 years ago. And I can honestly say at this point in my life, I'm gonna go ahead and put my age out there. At 64 years old, I'm in the best health that I've ever been in my life. And I say best health. Now, I played football in college, stayed in shape, but I'm talking about from the inside out, internally.
Mm.
And so that's what I want to share with people. Like, listen, you don't have to start deteriorating at any age, especially people that are 50 plus. They feel like, hey, that's it. My metabolism is slowed down and I can't do it. No, you can. You can. So that's one of the reasons why, I started classes back, had some people going through the classes, did a radio program for 6 months on the topic. And so then I was led to write the book. So that's how I got
That's it in a long nutshell. No, I was kidding. So
yeah, in a nutshell, right?
so let me shout out real quick. Sacramento, California, Greensboro. Your wife is on. Mike Kim is on. She's watching. Hey Kim. You said something very interesting, that even though you were an athlete, you were in the best health, like the inside
Mm-hmm.
of your body. It's healthy. And there's a very real misconception that we have. If we see somebody who's muscular or who's thin, we assume that they're healthy, but that's not necessarily the case. So can you elaborate a little bit more? What was the difference between you as an athlete, all that you were doing then, versus you now at 64 years old, and what you know and what you're doing?
Great question. Great question. So this is where things change, right? I mentioned earlier there was a lot of things that I didn't eat. I didn't
Mhm.
really drink sodas. I wasn't a big sweets person. Didn't eat sweets because diabetes, that whole thing. So that was the deterrent when I was in my 20s. I stopped eating red meat when I was about 22 years old, and I stopped eating pork, I think, when I was 21, about a year before. So there were some things that I didn't do, right? But I ate pretty much everything else outside of those things and stayed fairly healthy. And even when you mentioned, like, when I was young playing football and stuff, like, I was eating anything, but the gym, the working out, and all of that, and plus just at a young age, you look like like you're fine, you're healthy. So the difference was really in, I focused on things that I was not going to eat. Whereas after this revelation 4 years ago, it's not so much about what I'm not eating as to what I am eating.
Okay.
That's the difference, right? Genesis 1:29. So what am I eating? I'm eating a lot of raw vegetables. I'm eating a lot of raw fruits. I'm getting enzymes in my system. The cells in your body, that's what they want. They want
Mhm.
those natural living enzymes to reproduce healthy cells. So now I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, I'm producing healthy cells at a premium rate right now. You're probably at the almost the maximum rate that I can produce healthy cells at. And if you're replacing cells with healthy cells, then you can almost only be healthy because
Right.
cells is basically the foundation of what we're made of. So if you're building your body with healthy cells, you have no choice but to be healthy. Whether it's skin, whether it's nails, whether it's hair, whether it's because the cells are replacing themselves every day.
Mhm.
And so once that revelation is there, now that's what I look to do is pour those nutrient rich, vitamin rich, antioxidant rich, natural whole foods in my body as much as I can. And so that's been the difference. That has been, and that's why I can say I'm the healthiest. My energy level, my base energy level is no different right now than when I was, I'll say 25, 30,
You
30
better
years
come
old.
on. You better
No,
come
I'm
on.
serious. My base energy level is no different than then.
Wow.
But again, it's not just, and this is my whole premise behind this. It's not just a me thing, right?
Yeah.
Because I 100% believe anybody and everybody can do this. I believe that what I share in the book really is a blueprint. Now, is it the blueprint? I do say it's God's blueprint, but that's who gave it to me. So it's a blueprint, and it's based on Genesis 1:29. So um, yeah, that's the difference in where I was as an athlete versus what my body is being fueled with now.
So when people start hearing the conversation about health and wellness and
Mhm.
healthy eating, their minds automatically go to what they have to give up. And
Mm.
you said you don't do a lot of sodas. So people are thinking about the Coca-Colas and the Pepsis and stuff. And I've heard people say, oh, I can give up everything but that Sunday bird, talking about chicken. They don't want,
Mhm.
does your curriculum, what you've written in the curriculum and with the book,
Mhm.
does it address, or let me say, how do you address that
Okay.
fear that people have of, and it's not just a fear, it's also a wall, because in
Mhm.
some instances they stop listening because they don't want to give up anything. They want to be
Right,
healthy, but
right.
they don't want to give up. How do you address that in people who have that mindset?
That's a great question. Great question. Now that comes back to in the first part of what I usually teach, and you have to have a starting point,
Mhm.
and really it's because we the things that giving up part is real. People don't want to give up their
Right.
favorite, because think about food is, I mean, we have so many things attached to food, eating occasions, weddings,
Yes.
funerals. I mean, I mean, homecomings. I mean, just what, I mean, everything we do, and food is social. I mean, it is, and it's a feel good time. And, festivals and feasts are, times to celebrate around food. But this is the thing, and once your mindset changes a little bit, and I'll get into that in a second, you understand that you can't have a feast every day. And see, and that's what we've gotten to in this country,
Mm.
is that we're having a feast every day. We're eating as
Good.
much as we can, whatever we can, a lot of times, without really any restraint. And so that goes back to some things that happens once you have a vision. See, if you have a clear vision for your health, like, and what I do is help people develop a vision. Okay, I want you to see what is the, if you think about yourself right now, because
Mhm.
every year people think about, okay, one of the main things when it comes to New Year's resolutions that people are putting down on is money and their health. You know what I mean? I'm,
Yes.
I'm gonna do better with
Yes.
money. I'm either gonna make more money, I'm gonna save more money. I'm gonna do something with money, or it's health. I'm gonna lose weight.
Yes.
I'm gonna get in shape. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna eat right. I'm gonna do all. Okay. So now the thing is, that's good to say, but do you really have a clear vision for that? For being the healthiest that you can potentially be wherever you are. Okay, what if you, and most people know, this is the thing, most people know internally what their best self is.
Mm.
Okay, internally, sometimes we may not want to look at, because then we're responsible for that once we know what our best self can be. But the thing is, okay, listen, let's look at it. What's the best you health wise that you could possibly be? If you could just close your eyes and nothing else was involved, you're not thinking about giving up all the stuff, you're not thinking about any of that, but
Right.
just if you can close your eyes, and when you open them, you are in the best health that you could possibly be in.
Mm.
What would you be walking, running, in a dance class, doing things that you hadn't done in years? I mean, but that's the vision that I. And once you have that vision, then you have a compelling reason if that vision is real, right? So now back to your
Mhm.
question about giving up something. And I mentioned this, like, it's not about stopping doing, like, I wasn't eating certain things, but then it's more, okay, what am I eating? So now is not so much what you're giving up, but I focus on different things that I want you to add to. This is what I want you
Right.
to add to what you're doing. I want you to add these things. I want you to be intentional about eating certain things. Because again, when you ask people to give up something, that's right, right. You're almost fighting a winless battle, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But when it's no, I want you to add this. This is what I want you to add. And then why? I want you to add this, and this is why. I want you to
Right.
add this, and this is why. Now, this is what I generally teach, is because this is part of the blueprint, is you cannot eat ultra processed foods all day, every day, and it not literally kill you?
Come on now.
I mean, I'm just, that's, you just can't,
That's
because
real talk.
that's what it's designed to do. I mean, when I say it's designed to do that, there is no, even though the food industry, or the food stuff industry is what I call it, because any manufactured food is really not food, it's food stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The food is the stuff that grows out of the ground or runs around on the ground, and you can see what it is. You kill it, you clean it, you cook it. That's food.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that stuff that General Mills and Procter and Gamble and all those companies are making in a laboratory and in a factory that we call food, and we grab some off the shelf and eat it and get it out to convenience stores and everything like that. That ain't food. It's not food.
Right.
So your body gets used to eating that food stuff, and, and it's producing the results that it's going to produce. So I have a rule,
Okay.
85-15. You got to eat at least 80. Well, I suggest you eat at least 85% whole foods at all
Mm-hmm.
times. 15%, okay, you go off the reservation. So that's the whole that's the whole thing. You just like, okay, the 15% of the time, yeah, you're not, you don't necessarily have to give up those things but you just can't eat them all the time. You know, there's something that I call temperance, which is also a
Mm-hmm.
food discipline, that
Yes.
you have to exercise food. I mean, when you think about it, we almost anything that we want to excel in, we have to exercise discipline in it. It's
Well,
no matter.
let me put an applause on that right there. Let me put an applause on that right there. Right there. You have to exercise discipline. Yes.
Yes,
Go ahead.
yes. So so even though food is something that we do every day, sometimes 3 times a day or more, whatever, but still we have to exercise food discipline. I mean, because, and that's where that vision comes in. See, if the vision is strong enough, then you understand why you're doing it. But then after a while, you start feeling, you understand it from your body's standpoint of how you feel, how you operate, the energy that you have that you didn't have before. And it was simply a matter of choosing to eat differently or choosing to add some additional things to what you eat.
So, what are some examples of ultra processed foods? Like, give us maybe 3 or 4 examples of ultra
Okay.
processed, so y'all can be checking if y'all have these in your house, how often you're eating them. Are they on your weekly or bi-weekly grocery list? Are these part of your must-haves? What are 3 or 4 ultra processed foods?
Okay. There was I was getting some gas at Circle K,
Mhm.
and they had a picture on the window of these specials that you can get of different
Yes.
foods, right? And they had about 15 or 20 different things on the window.
Okay.
And the only thing up there that was food were the bananas.
Mm.
Now, everything else, the nabs, the crackers, you know what I mean? And the little cheese nabs. I mean, my mother used to eat them. I used to love it.
Right.
The little cheese with the
Tear,
peanut butter
used to
in
tear 'em
between.
up.
Yeah. You know, that's the ultra processed food, potato chips.
Mm.
Any of the cakes that you get out of the stores, you know, that are made, because again, um, potato chips, the cakes, the cakes that are in the stores.
Oh,
Um,
you talking about Little Debbie? Y'all hear Little Debbie? Give
Little
up
Debbie.
Debbie. Wow.
I mean, the M&Ms, I mean,
Mm.
you know, just even though they have peanuts in them, but still, they say, well, it's got peanuts in them. You said nuts are fine. Yeah. And then too, once you take a whole food and you put some hydrogenated oil on it, you pretty much process it. So it's like, again, deep frying in hydrogenated oil is you're turning a whole food into now a
Food.
processed food, right?
Nonsensical
We're doing that
foolishness.
kind of thing.
And Wanda said, not the chips, child, not just the chips, but the chips ahoy. Okay.
All of
The
them.
chips
Look,
and the chips ahoy. All
right.
right. And Stevie said, Lord help. You know that's going on the screen. Yes. And so, okay, here's a good question.
Right.
Is there a good oil to use as far as your cooking, to use
Mhm.
in maybe salad dressings? What
Mhm.
are some examples of healthy oils?
Okay. So what you can do now, olive oil doesn't have the same. You can heat olive oil, but it's you can't heat it to like deep frying temperatures, 400, 500 degrees. But olive oil is what you can use. Avocado oil,
Mhm.
coconut oil. So any of those oils are fine. Some people use beef talon as well, as an oil. So any of those are fine. You just can't do the hydrogenated oils. And then some people say, like, when you start thinking, because a lot of people do snack, they want to snack. And then what happens over time, as we're talking about the processed food, but it's a matter of choice. And what'll happen after a while, you have to be intentional for a while, but then it will just become second nature to where instead of you having chips in the cabinet, you'll have your favorite nuts in the cabinet, whether they're cashews or almonds or walnuts or pecans. I mean, just however you say it. Pistachios. I mean, so those are a thing. Again, once you get used to eating those, and then just having blueberries around and blackberries and strawberries and oranges and apples and pears and bananas, to where you don't have any of that stuff in your cabinet.
Yeah.
On your counters, it's just whole food choices. And then that just becomes a way of life, or just a way of eating. And then too, you have the confidence to know that what you're putting in, really, when you're building healthy cells, you're literally healing your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing. Because when you have it, whatever you have in your house, whatever you're taking in, it's gonna show on your body.
Hmm.
And to go back to what I mentioned earlier, I've heard people say, and I'm sure you have too, oh, this person worked out every single day and they didn't smoke and they didn't drink, but they died of a heart attack. Well,
Hmm.
there were some things that they were taking into their body, or some
Hmm.
stressors that they were taking into their body that their body did not like. And
Hmm.
yes, Wanda, everybody click the like button.
Hmm.
If you have not let your people know to get on, go ahead and share with them and tell them that the mic drop is live. You mentioned mindset, and with the whole mindset piece, because my brain is going crazy on this one. People have food addiction where they are
True.
literally addicted to food. It is a real thing.
Hmm.
And then, you talked about how everything that we celebrate, even things that we don't celebrate, food is involved.
Hmm.
So
True.
there is self-soothing
Hmm.
that takes place when people get really happy, really angry, really stressed.
Hmm.
You may not be hungry, but you find your way into that doggone kitchen
Right.
trying
Right.
to find something to munch on. So he says sugar. So how do
Hmm.
you help people, or do you refer them out? Help
Hmm.
them identify, is there an addiction that you're dealing with? And that's why the consistency isn't there. Is this your self-soothing regimen? And that's
Hmm.
why the consistency isn't there. How do
Hmm.
you help people identify those things?
Okay. So that's a great question. All these questions are great questions, by the way.
That's
You
what I
good at
do,
what
honey.
you good at what you
That's what I
do.
do.
But no, that's and I have this is in the book too, because a lot of people are addicted to food, right? But some of that is by the food stuff industry, because sugar is in everything. Sugar is in everything that you buy in most ultra processed food. You have sugar and you have sodium. So now think about those two things. And when you go to the doctor, usually, because so many people are affected by high blood pressure,
Yes.
and that's those are one of the symptoms, right? Elevated blood sugar levels, really because of insulin resistance, and that's a byproduct of the sugar that's in the food. So now, sugar is more addicted than cocaine. So
Wow.
if you
Wow.
are on sugar, it's a hard habit to break. It really is. Now, you said, what do I do? Usually, what I do after we're getting started, and a person has come up with a clear vision. Okay, this is me, healthy, right? Because what we have to do, first of all, in that vision casting part of what we're doing is change identity. See,
Mm.
you will never be what you don't identify as. See, if I can get you to identify as being healthy, it doesn't matter if you're 400 pounds, but if I can get you to identify as being healthy, then that will start the process of changing everything. So
Love that.
if you catch that vision is stronger, and you catch your own vision. It's your own vision that you're catching,
Mhm.
and you
Mhm.
identify with it. That's it. That's 90% of it. Now, so after that part, there's a what I like to do is a 21-day fasting cleansing period of eating all raw fruits, vegetables, and vegetable juice that's cold pressed.
Okay.
Okay. And also, you can throw some nuts in there as well, right? Just raw nuts, because again, that's going to give you a source of protein. Because some people feel like I can't be without protein for 2 hours, but you can. But anyway, but I know that's how the thought process. I got to eat some protein, or they'll feel like, man, I'm hungry. But see, the thing is, the food stuff with the sugar and the sodium makes you hungry like every 2 hours. So then the food industry kind of changed things and said, no, you don't need to go. What you need to do is eat little meals all day long. Well, if you eat little meals all day long, your body is in a constant state of digestion.
Mm.
And then also your body's releasing insulin, because you're having to deal with glucose all day long. So now you
Wow.
become insulin resistant, and then when they do your A1Cs, it's a little bit high because your body's constantly in a state of digestion, and then you start resisting insulin as your pancreas is pumping it into your bloodstream to try to deal with the glucose, and now you're borderline diabetic.
Mm.
But see what happens once you cleanse, you do the cleanse, you eat this way for 21 days, right? So now your body doesn't have any processed sugar, has no processed anything for 21 days. Now, in the beginning, it may be a little hard because you're going to go through some withdrawals, right? But you'll get natural sugar from some of the fruits you eat, and generally I'll recommend berries, things like that. Eat those blueberries, strawberries, eat apple and pears because they also have fiber. So you're getting that in your fruit, but you're getting something sweet. to where you can actually taste the sugar in food again. Because for a lot of people, they can't really taste the sugar in food because they
Right.
OD'd on all of this processed stuff that's full of sugar. And then your natural taste buds come back alive and you like, oh my goodness, you eat an apple. Oh, this apple is so sweet, it's so good, right?
Yes.
So the 21 days of getting all of that stuff out of your system, that's kind of the starting point, right? So that will reset it'll literally reset your metabolism to where your
Perfect.
body's come down from, you know, dealing with sugar all the time and sugar in your bloodstream 24/7. Now, okay, your body's like resting, like, oh my goodness, wow. So this is what it's like not to have to try to break that stuff down all the
Yeah.
time. I have more energy. I'm not feeling sluggish and tired because I'm constantly dealing with the elevated blood sugar level.
Mm. And based on the comments, everybody is feeling what you're saying and having some aha moments. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, Mike, we're going to talk about your book, talk about how people can get a copy of your book, as
Okay.
well as be able to connect to you. All right. So let's pay
All
some
right.
bills, y'all.
Andrea, everybody wants this.
It doesn't matter what your product or service is. Our audience wants to know who you are. Become a mic drop partner and showcase your product and service on this podcast. Go to www.mindedmybusiness.vip/mic drop.
So if you are someone who is looking for visibility for your product and or service, I would encourage you to go to the website www.mindingmybusiness.vip/mic drop. Fill out the information. Let's get you visible to this audience. This podcast is growing by leaps and bounds. We are on every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We are reaching people all over the world. Now, I'm not guaranteeing anything, but what I'm saying is, if you are looking for more visibility, then this is definitely an option that you need to look into, because not only will it work, but it's also affordable. Go to www.mindingmybusiness.vip/mic drop. Now, Mike, tell
Okay.
us about your book. What's the title of your book?
The title of the book, which is right here, is Keys. 5 Keys to Kingdom Health, God's Blueprint for Weight Loss, Healing, and Longevity. Right. So that's the title, and it kind of touches on, just what I experienced from going through this, like 4 years ago, when the Lord brought Genesis 1:29 back to, okay, boom, this is the blueprint. And it's outlined with the 5 keys. And then I give 2 extra keys as well, like the clear vision. That's the first key, having that clear vision, right? And then the second key is you have to learn the truth about food and health, which is some of the
Don't
stuff.
give them all the keys, because they need to read the book.
Well, I'm gonna give them the keys, but yeah, the keys.
Don't give them all the keys.
There's a lot of things under the keys.
They said, hold up the book again. They want to see the title. So 5 keys to kingdom health. 5 keys to kingdom health.
Mm-hmm.
There's the book for y'all. And I know after this conversation, I know I'm gonna be ebonical, because I told y'all I am bilingual. I'm gonna be ebonical. I know y'all finna get it after this conversation tonight. So what's the first key, Mike?
First key is having a clear vision.
Clear vision.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the second key?
Second key is learning the truth about food and health. The truth about food and health.
The
Right.
truth. And that right there, that could be a whole book by itself, because dispelling the lies that
Mm-hmm.
we have been fed since
Mm-hmm.
we were little, and how they used cartoons and animated things to try to, well, they didn't try, they did brainwash us into,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of my favorite cereals growing up was some doggone Cocoa Pebbles. And
Right.
if that
Right.
ain't ultra processed, I don't know
Yeah.
what, you know, but
Yeah.
you ate the pebbles and then
Every
chocolate.
cereal you eat, even the ones that, when what's the Raisin Bran? People think Raisin Bran was like is healthy because
Yes.
they put brand in the name of it, and
And
they're like,
raisin.
oh, Raisin Bran is healthy. No, it's manufactured. It's not a
Yeah.
whole food. It's not a real food. But that's a part of it too. And yeah, that's right. The truth will make you free. Absolutely. Um, and then oh, you're gonna ask me the third key?
I don't know. I don't know. I think what I'm gonna ask you is, how do people get a hold of the book?
Okay.
How do they get that book in their hand?
Okay. There's a couple of places they can get the book. Now it's on my website, my Bodies in Christ website, but you can get it under this URL, which is www.5, the number 5, keys, KEYS, .live.
Oh,
5keys.live.
Wanda said, don't take her Raisin Bran or her Cheerios. She took her Raisin Bran and her Cheerios. I'm gonna put that on the screen. Look at you already. As soon as you tell people they gotta give them something, you get a response.
And see, too, now the whole giving up process, the way it goes back to the giving up. But see, what we're doing, we're not really giving up, because what we're going to do is we replace everything with something else. And even, when you talk about the addiction, that people feel like they just have to eat. Well, I just got to eat something, just got to eat something. Well, let's have something in your house, if you just got to eat something, that you're just eating something else that's feeding your body as opposed to tearing it down. You can still eat. You can still eat. We just change what you eat. Yeah.
Absolutely. And in the post that I put when I was reminding people that we were going to be on, the question that I asked was, is your life worth saving? You have to determine whether or not you are worth saving, because if the potato chips are more important, or the midnight snack with the chocolate bar, and you're dipping it in peanut butter just to try to validate that you got something healthy, and then you're washing it down with the Mountain Dew, Lord God, straight caffeine and sugar, nothing, and food coloring.
Right, right.
Is your life worth saving? And everybody needs to be asking yourself that question. And if you don't know where to start, then you need to go to 5keys.live, L-I-V, 5key, www.5keys.live. I've got it in the chat. I'll also put it under the video once this interview is over, and get his book. Stevie said, she said, don't talk about my midnight snacks. Not only am I going to talk about it, but I'm going to put your comment on the screen. Okay. Honey, the midnight snacks. And listen, I can say it because I used to do it. Mike, I used to tear up some bugles.
Yeah, a little butter flavor to them.
Good gracious.
Bugles, Pringles look like they're healthy because they show you a little potato, like they just came out of a potato. And
Don't even get started, because Pringles by themselves are a straight addiction. You will have that whole can gone before you even realize that you went back in for a second. It's all
Right, right.
But that's that sugar and I Nisha could definitely listen. You know, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep everybody together because I love my guests because y'all come on and you're so kind and your personas are so wonderful. And then I come and I just punch people in the chest. And so it's a great balance. Uh,
Right, right.
um, we forget. It's almost like we lose track of time
Mhm.
when we're eating these different things. And even though I don't press on people, I'm vegan and I don't press veganism on anyone. But
Mhm.
if folk start asking
Right, right.
questions, being vegan, I was required to read labels. And
Mhm.
I was floored at
Mm.
how much sugar is
Right.
in everything. If it
Everything.
comes in a package, 9 times out of 10, it's got sugar in it.
Yeah. Or the combination of sugar and sodium,
Yes.
the deadly combo.
And I was surprised at, you think you're getting, when you pick up spaghetti sauce, you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking you're getting tomatoes and spices, but
Mm-hmm.
you're getting dried milk, you're getting sugar, you're getting all types of preservatives.
Yes. Yes.
Nothing that I ever paid attention to until I got on my health journey.
Mm-hmm.
So, Stevie, if you don't get out the chat, girl, you about to have me rolling. Talk about all us big backs need to see this episode. Girl, you are so silly. I love it.
But
So,
you know what, Nishika, the thing, oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
The thing is, and when you talk about the habits and everything else, and that goes back to that first key though, really is, and you said why, they may go back and sneak this, and eat this or eat that. It's because the word says where there's no vision,
Mhm.
the people perish. So it's, if you don't have a vision for it, there's nothing, if that vision is not in front of you as it relates to health and
Mhm.
who you are health wise, and that identity hasn't changed, because you don't wait until you've lost the weight, until you're eating healthy, until you're doing all these things before, you don't wait until then to identify as healthy. That's a decision. And that's what I try to help people do, is make that decision as soon as, in that first part of the book or in the class, or is to go ahead and make the decision.
Right.
Now, and some people are going to be reluctant to make the decision because, look, I've tried this before, I've tried that before, this has been a struggle all my life, I've tried this, so I don't want to do something and then, backslide on it or whatever, right? But once you make a decision and decide that's who you are, then
Mhm.
that's who you end up becoming. When we give our lives to Christ, we're not everything we're going to be when we say that prayer and God comes into our heart.
Right.
But that's what we identify as from then on. And then we grow into it until, okay, we look up, okay, we're starting to look like him. So it's the same thing with identity, identifying, hey, this is who I am. No, this is the day I'm making a decision that, no, I'm healthy. I walk in kingdom health. That's who I am. No matter where you are right now, you can make a decision that's when you make a decision in your heart that that's who you are. A decision, of course, you're dividing, you got an incision. So it's really you know, an inner commitment that that's who you are. And then change follows, because you have to be who you are. You can't be something different.
So, and we're coming up on our hour. I mentioned to you, and after I have you answer this question,
Okay.
then I'll ask you about how folks can connect with you outside of the podcast. So at the end of every interview, we ask a question that
Okay.
was asked by the previous guest.
Okay.
And then you will also get to leave a question for the next guest. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the question that was left last week is, what are you doing currently that will change and impact the next decade?
That's a great question, and an appropriate question too, Michigan,
Mhm.
because this has been what I'm doing with Bodies in Christ has been a 30 plus year journey. And so my prayer is that it's not just a moment, but a movement, right? That what this little bit that I'm doing here and the lives that I'm touching here will start a movement to moving people away from, and moving people towards living, right?
Mhm.
Living, being alive,
Mhm.
living, and prayerfully, because when they do DNA tests and what did your father have, what did your mother have, what did everybody have, when I'm filling out insurance papers years ago, they're looking at that stuff that what everybody had, and they're like, dude, you know, you ain't gonna make it. I said, no, but you got my blood work, right? You got my blood work. You see what's in my blood, right?
Right.
So now to say, how can we affect the next generation is that if we start doing it differently, then the next generation will do it differently as well as it relates
Mm,
to eating and health.
I love that. And for those of y'all who are listening now, as well as those who are watching the replay, everybody to type into the chat, I am rewriting my bloodline, because you're
Mm,
right. It used to be on those health questionnaires and insurance questionnaires, they asked you about your mother and father.
mhm,
But here
mhm,
recently, I've seen mother and father, I've seen grandparents.
mhm.
I mean,
Yep,
going down the
yep,
whole rigmarole. So what
yeah.
we're establishing is we are going to rewrite our
Mhm,
bloodline. So whatever was happening prior to us will
mhm,
not be going on after us.
mhm.
Now, Mike, what question would you like to leave for the
Mm.
next?
Okay, this is one right here. Okay. So for the next guest,
Mhm.
um, if they could be anywhere in the world they wanted to be, where would that be? And if they can be doing anything in the world that they could do, what would the kind of three-part question?
Okay.
What would that be? And also, um, if they could be anybody in the world that they wanted to be, who would they be?
Okay. And I'm writing it. And while I'm writing the last part of this, Mike, why don't you go ahead and let the people know how they can connect with you after this podcast is over?
Okay. Yeah. You can go to my website at www.bodiesinChristcoaching.com and connect with me there, kind of see what's going on, different things that I'm doing there. Or if you have any immediate questions or anything like that, or want to reach out, you can text me at 336-638-1007. Yep.
All right, y'all. And again, just to remind you, if you are interested in getting the book, which I know that you are, 5keys, the number 5keys.liv for live.
Oh, LIVE.
LIVE. Oh, hold on. Hold on,
Dot
Jesus.
live. Dot live. Dot live or live. Yep.
Let me fix it. Let me fix it. 5keys.
Dot live.
Okay, LIVE. 5keys.live. All right. So y'all go there, grab a copy of the book. Grab a copy of the book. And if there is somebody that God is telling you to bless with a copy, then you can have it shipped. Now, Mike, because this is what I always ask, because this is what I always want. Will these copies be signed by you?
These copies will be signed by me.
Oh,
Signed by me.
okay.
They're live on Amazon as well, but those will not be signed by me because they'll be shipped directly out from Amazon. But the ones that you get from 5keys.live, yeah, those will be signed by me.
All right. So if you want your signed copy, which everyone should always want a signed copy, go to the website, get your copy of the book, and to reach out to Mike, bodiesinChristcoaching.com. Bodies in, and that's IN, right? Bodies in Christ coaching.com. You can get your additional question. I feel like once y'all get the book, you'll get a lot of your questions answered. You'll know how to navigate. And then, Mike, if you have any events or things coming up, do you normally update that on your website to let them know?
Yes, it will be updated. As a matter of fact, we have some other classes and courses that we're doing as well. So, once someone reaches out, we share that information as well. Yeah.
Awesome sauce. Well, Mike, thank you so much for being on the drop tonight.
No,
This
was a blessing. I appreciate you.
No problem. And Mike, don't go anywhere. I'm going to talk to you right after the program.
Okay.
Y'all, listen, every week we are bringing on amazing people. Make sure you share this podcast. Folks are dealing with issues, and there are many of them who are dealing with them silently. But I know that God always places people on our hearts of who we need to bless with materials like this to help encourage them. So make sure, even if you're watching the replay, that you get a copy of the book, 5keys with an S.live, LIVE, and grab your signed copy. So until next time, y'all, stay blessed. I will see you